This is everything I wish I knew about steaks before starting to cook them. A beginner's guide to cooking steaks, if you will. What meat to choose? What's the difference between them? How to reliably cook amazing steaks every time? What tools do I need?
Is this whip gonna tenderize my steak?
It won't, by the way. But most importantly, are you gonna let a little girl teach you stuff about your big manly steaks?
If you dare to say yes, follow me to the steak heaven. Alright, first thing on the meat agenda, what meat to choose and how to choose it.
Here we have the most common cuts in the United States: New York strip, ribeye, and the pretentious French filet mignon. Quick overview. New York strip has an intense beef flavor. The muscle structure, longissimus, is the only one in this steak. Thus, it cooks evenly and all bites taste the same. However, it is not the most tender piece and it comes with a thick band of fat on its side. See this? You can't eat this. Next, let's take a look at ribeye. This piece usually has a good marbling, thus it is tender with a buttery smooth texture, full of flavor, also my favorite piece. Now, with ribeye, you get multiple meats in one. Yay! So, it tastes different depending on what part of the steak you are eating. Why? Because the muscle structure is not uniform across the steak. Do you see this strip of fat and connective tissue that runs on this side of the meat? It actually separates two muscles that join on this steak, the ribeye and the ribeye cap. And last on the list, filet mignon. That literally translates to little filet.
Wow! Great job, French people. Very inventive. Was Voltaire busy with writing or what?
This piece is very tender, lean, but not that marbled. It's on the thicker side than the others, maybe around 2 inches thick.
Now, I like to compensate for the lack of meat in my life by buying some big, thick steaks from Costco, but you should find your own preferred store to buy steaks from.
Anyways, we have these 3 cuts. So what? Well, let's see the differences between them. First, tenderness, highly dependent on the muscle type that's present on the steak. Without no doubt, the most tender piece is the filet mignon. Just look at how my finger easily indents the meat. This is so much fun. It comes from a muscle named Loin.
Shocking, I know. Was Mark Twain busy with writing or what?
So, this is the most tender piece. Why? Because this muscle is the laziest, doesn't do any work. It's basically not used by the cow's anatomical needs. It's there only to pleasure my mouth. Next on the tender list, we have the ribeye. Now this is my favorite piece of them all. It's tender, partially because of its good marbling. Least tender one is, yes, you guessed right, the New York strip.
So, we saw tenderness classification. Let's look at their marbling.
Marbling is the amount of intramuscular fat, the white strips that are trapped inside the muscle fibers. The more fat a piece has, the more marbled it is. More marbling means the steak will be more tender and fatty. The holy grail, Wagyu A5, aka half of your paycheck, aka Guga's wife. Now, from left to right, our contestants. Filet mignon, very little marbling. You can't see much intramuscular fat going on here. It's a pretty lean cut. Next, New York strip with some decent marbling. You can start to see some white strips here and there on this piece. And the winner with the best marbling is the ribeye. At least for now, until I'll afford A5, and no, that's not Audi A5, even though I can't afford that either. Take a good look at the marbling on this piece. It is solid, evenly present throughout the steak, especially on the cap. What a beauty!
Next classification, price. Cha-ching!
Alright, so this is the breakdown. Filet mignon will get the most money out of your pocket, followed by the ribeye, and the cheapest one is the New York strip.
Last one, hard to fuck up classification. What do I mean by that?
Well, which one is the most forgiving during cooking? Even if I fuck it up, it's still tender and juicy. This depends on many factors, the most important one being the muscle type. In this case, filet mignon takes the steak. It's the hardest one to F up. I deliberately overcooked a piece, steak god, please forgive me. So this is at well done stage. And even overcooked as it is, it's still pretty tender, I'd say. Look, a bouncy texture, not that dry, I don't choke on it when I eat it. Closely following is the ribeye, and the easiest one to mess up is the New York strip.
To recap, here's what we covered so far. Type of cut, tenderness, marbling, price, and hard to F up.
Two other things I wanna cover. No, not these puppies, but steak thickness and color. So, steak thickness. This will greatly influence the cooking experience that you'll have. I go with 1.5 inches thick steaks, but another popular thickness is 1 inch. The filet mignon is on the thicker side at around 2 inches, so it will take longer to cook. Finally, the color. Take a good look at these two steaks. Do you see any difference? Yep, the one on the left is grey, grayer than my grandma actually, while the right one is the regular bright red we know and love.
Let me just say, the grey one is okay and safe to eat, but I think the red one is a bit more tasty.
What up with this difference?
Are you ready to accept science in your life?
Well, the grey one oxidized. WTF? Myoglobin, or the red pigment, is the stuff that makes the meat red. It contains an iron atom. See the one in the middle? That's iron. When meat is exposed to air for a longer time, the myoglobin reacts with the oxygen and oxidizes. How? The iron loses a particle called electron, and bada bing bada boom, some quantum physics shit happens, and the steak is now grey. Who would have thought an electron can change a steak so much? Please consider subscribing and join me next time for Ladies and Gents, Round 2. What to do to your meat before cooking.